Hey guys, Ryan Engineer, StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the sixth set between SKT1 and KT Rolster. This is going to be on Aztec, the new 3-player map. On the 12 o'clock position in orange as Protoss is BeSt, representing T1. And that means at the 8 o'clock position, playing zerg in green, is going to be Hoejja, representing KT. So BeSt versus Hoejja on this new 3-player map, Aztec. Interesting map overall, I find. You got that main that's on the low ground, then you got your natural expansion up a small ramp. Then you got your natural, and your natural's protected by a rather wide choke. And very interesting that over that natural, you got a lot of stuff that walls it, but it doesn't actually wall off anything. It's just a gigantic wall all over that nothing can land on, I think. And just is kind of there. So if there's anything flying around, it can really abuse that position and not be hit from range. It's going to hit there. So any aerial play I find on this map could be very interesting. Your main is also very open from quite a few positions. So if you're going to go for an interesting play, I find aerial play could be very interesting overall on this map. I think that natural expansion can also be sieged upon from range across that. But that's not applicable in this play in this game here, but still I find that any aerial play could be very effective. You also have a third close by, but that doesn't have any gas, so altogether Zergs are getting really crippled on that third gas. You know, if they're going to go for that 3-hatch play, it's going to be a little bit risky. You do see the Forge fast expand out there from BeSt as he sent out the early probe, sent it to the wrong location, but just not going to send it through to the correct location and find where his opponent is. Yeah, you can wall off fairly easily on this. This is a small choke. There on the bench we see BeSt and Flash, two players that we could possibly see in an ace match if BeSt wins this game here. But of course, I'm not quite sure because if T1 knows, I mean, it's obvious, especially on the first day, you're going to send out Flash. I mean, KT has played since this because I'm getting this out kind of late, but you know, on the first day, you're definitely going to send out Flash. BeSt's going to be here harassing a little bit, getting one drone to almost half health. It's going to start slowly regenerating that, though. Do you see the Nexus come up even before the first cannon, that 12-hatch from the Zerg player? Never mind, 12-hatch, I think. Overpull wasn't even overpull. God, I saw the hatchery before I saw the spawning pool. I'm kind of silly in that regard. But yeah, he's feeling fairly safe. Zergling's coming out just now. I think there was an overpull. A second cannon is coming up, but I just think those two cannons are going to be able to defend this just fine. Maybe one probe to blockade between that Forge and Pollen. You're going to be just fine. I think if it is that they do expect Flash to be sent out for the ace match in that regard, I definitely feel that they're probably going to send in Fantasy to face him rather than BeSt. So let's see. Probe's going to come off the line. 3 probes here to blockade. 1 gateway going to come as Voltax is the blockading building, and those 2 cannons both up. So I really don't think that Hoejja is going to have any sort of opportunity to break this open. Only has 5 Zerglings in there. I think he has 1 that's kind of holding back. Maybe trying to act as a spotter or something. I'm not altogether too sure. Nexus is going to come up fairly soon. Gateway halfway there. Ooh, nice shots there from the cannon. Picking off one of those Zerglings. Getting a little bit too close. Flash again with the camera on himself and smiling now. I was like, guys, let me watch the game. Come on now. Let me watch the game. Let me see what's going on. First assimilator on the way as well, so we are probably going to be seeing the Subnet's course soon, followed up by that Stargate Lair tech on the way for Hoejja, and he's actually also expanding towards that lower right-hand position, towards that lower right-hand main, I think that is, or natural expansion, I'm sorry, towards the lower right-hand natural expansion. Rather than picking up the main, I think it's actually a good idea because the main's on the low ground, so it's kind of end up hard to defend if he gets busted in there, so we'd rather take the natural expo, kind of lock that in, put down some sunkens, then eventually take that 4th. So, yeah, Zergs, there are opportunities. If you manage to play like this, manage to defend it, manage to utilize your Nidus Canals and Dark Templar Defiler play, I'm sorry, and then you're really going to be able to get those 4 bases up, get a strong economy, and fight your Protoss opponent in a very good way, fight him very strongly. But otherwise, you can get in trouble, as we saw in the first set, I believe it was, or the second, I think it was the first set, which Su kind of got closed off. It was against a Terran rather than Protoss, but he went for a similar thing. Eventually, he closed off, had to expand far away from his base, and ended up paying for him. He just couldn't split himself up, while his opponent unfortunately had too big an army that he could actually afford to kind of throw between the sides. Throw it to the right, throw it to the left, doesn't matter. I got big enough army, I can just go attack anywhere at all times. Something like that. Due to the Spire on the way for Hoejja, so he's going to be going for Muros to start this off. Might be going for Scourge though, but I think, as I said before, I think aerial units on this map could be very effective. That main also very vulnerable to aerial units, so you can kind of abuse a lot of position that your expansion does have that space. His opponent is going to have Corsairs though, so Corsairs are a good way to fight back Muros, but sometimes Muros are just in such a large number that you can't really do anything at all against them. You do see that one photon cannon inside the main. You think if his opponent is indeed going to go for Muros, he's probably going to need more 2 cannons a base. At least, at the very least, 1 cannon a base, 2 cannons is better, but of course that's a lot of resources. That's 600 minerals right there you're not using for anything else other than cannons. And at this professional level, going for way too many cannons sometimes just cannot be forgiven. No. Did see that Evolution Chamber come up alongside the Hydra, and so we're probably just going to see Scourge followed up into Heavy Hydra. There goes that initial Overlord kid. Remember this, guys? Remember when was I going to say conservatives flying around picking off Overlords? That sounds political in a hilarious way. But yeah, remember when the Corsairs flew around and killed one Overlord all the time? Yeah, good old days. Due to the Temple Archives on the opposite side alongside addition to gateways, more Corsairs going to be on the way. We're going to see how many he goes. Has 1 out there so far, going to be able to prevent them from being hit by that one Corsair. Has 5 Zealots out there so far. Going to push out at this point. 5 Zealots. Very good position. These Zergs are really not going to be able to do anything, so at least he's going to be able to force the Zerg player back. Seems like he's not actually going to go for pressure. Wants to make sure he doesn't accidentally sacrifice these Zealots, and I think by the time they would go into the base, Hydras would come out. They're already sunken. 1 second colony, 2nd sunken colony on the way. Hoejja also has the 6 o'clock base, or I guess that's more of a 5 o'clock base, I guess, whatever. That 5 o'clock natural has also pretty well hunkered up, has 2 sunken colonies on the way there. Almost getting hit by the Corsairs, has 3 of them so far. Didn't quite see whether the target was still blinking, so we can get an additional one. But has 3 out there, going fairly Corsair heavy, so he can go out there and try to hold his opponent down by taking down the side, because of course the Zerg player at this point does have those 3 bases. What am I talking about? And the Zealots are going to be coming out. They do have Zealot speed. Weapons 1 is still not ready. He definitely doesn't want to go for this attack until he has Weapons 1. Finally, going to be pushing back. 1 Zealot taking 2 second colony hits. Has 6 Zealots. Finally, Weapons 1 is hit. But 1 Zealot is very weak. Zergin's going to come in from the back. They're going to get sacrificed for Ire right here. But I really don't think that... BeSt should try to go for this attack. I really think he just ignore that 9. See what the 6 o'clock... or 5 o'clock rather has to say. There's still 2 sunken colonies, some Hydras and Zergins there, so overall I don't think he's going to be able to accomplish too much. Archon, interestingly enough, no Mutas to face off, so I'm not quite sure if this is the best decision. There are Hydras going to be out there. They can do, of course, a lot of damage if they get close enough. They can soak up some damage as well, but overall, against Hydras, High Templar are highly... overall better idea. There are Lurkers also out there for Hoejja, so we might be seeing some Dragoons coming out there for BeSt. Once you got those Lurkers out there, you definitely want some Dragoons to complement your forces. 1 Archon just waiting outside Natural Expo, like, give me some Zergings to kill. Seems like Zergings are going to be going for it. Hoejja going to go for a big attack here. Straight in. Zealots and Archons from the back. Probes coming off the line. Oh, no. Seems like a bunch of these Zerglings got messed up on the waypointing outside. They're not going to be able to get in. He's going to be able to get a pseudo-contain going with some of these Lurkers. 2 Zealots barely trying to run in and get in there. But all the Zerg inside the main, I believe, have been killed at this point. And overall, Hoejja's not going to be able to get too much. 7 Corsairs out there for BeSt. He's been keeping out constant protection. Seems like he's going to lose this Forge. And that's a loss right there. But still, altogether, I don't think Hoejja's going to be able to break this too far. Although, definitely, BeSt is going to need some High Templar to be able to get rid of this. The cannons are going to help out, but he's going to need some High Templar if he wants to get rid of this. Has Weapons 1 still. Was forced to cancel his 2nd upgrade. And adding in another photon cannon just so those Lurkers don't come in too close.